Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 589 of the DrunkNerds podcast. I'm your host as always. I'm Tyler, and join me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
I'll tell you what, man, I am doing pretty good. I have finally gotten off of work for the week at another 3-day weekend that's coming up. So that in and of itself is amazing. Other than that, oh, just tying up the loose ends before the new year starts. So obviously talking about the whole game stuff, that's just one of the things that I need to go forth and tie up as a big old bow. But other than that, though, it's almost the end of the football season. Like another couple weeks here, and then we'll be in the playoff times. Other than that, man, it just feels pretty good though. How have you been?
Doing all right. I am dealing with the cold, so I apologize for my voice there. If you can could tell in the opening there, it's not 100% back yet. I'm it's been over a week now of just being sick, and it sucks. But yeah, it's nice having a three. It's nice finally having a 3 day weekend, but also like I got a 3 day weekend to recover, but also it's like I really wanted this 3 day weekend to like enjoy it and not be sick. But yeah. Anyways, I will do my best throughout the show tonight, and the show we're gonna do next week. Well, we're doing two shows tonight, but the show that we're doing, but the other show will post next week. I'll do my best to keep the sniffling and the coughing to a minimum. As somebody that I don't know, probably spends 50 plus hours a week listening to podcasts at work. Nothing's worse than people heavy breathing, coughing, and sneezing into a microphone. So I will do my best
Oh yeah.
to keep that to a minimum. But I can't promise you it won't happen at all. But yeah. Sorry, 1 second. I can only breathe through my mouth, so it's hard. Usually, normally you breathe through the nose while you're talking. I can't do it right now. Give me a second here. Oh, okay, there we go. All right. Anyways, I really apologize. This is bad timing with Game of the Year. But anyways, this is the Drunk Tester podcast where every week Gables and I get together and talk about video games.
Mm.
This we were off last week. We did a show last week, but we did two shows 2 weeks ago. So we put that one out last week, and then we had a nice little break for Christmas. That was nice. Both of us got to recover a little bit, and I'll spend time with the family. Got some cool shit as well. Both of us did. But yeah. So what's going on this time around is we are doing our game of the year for the best games that came out in 2023. We will take turns doing our top 10. I will do 10, then Gables do 10, so on and so forth.
Mm.
We don't know each other's
Mm.
list. Um, we will do an honorable mentions. That'll be on part two. So this week will be 10 through 6. Next week will be honorable mentions and 5 through 1. But before we get on all that, I really appreciate it if you're watching and listening, all that you're able to deal with my voice. Appreciate it. Please like, follow, subscribe. If you're watching us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, what the fuck it's called now, Spotify, whatever podcast service you're on, just look us up, Drunk Dashers, Drunk Nerds. You'll find us. Same thing on YouTube. Please do the same thing. Like, follow, subscribe. We're really, really, really trying to
Mm.
push to get the YouTube channel going. So we just got over 200 subscribers this week, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so we're
Awesome.
getting closer to that 500. We get 500, we can start actually making a little bit of advertising bucks on this. So it'd be great. Two guys, we just do this for fun. It'd be great to maybe make a little bit of money doing this because we make nothing doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Um, but Gables, give me a second here as I catch my breath. Where is it? Here it is. Yes. All right. So Gables, I thought it'd be fun that before we get into our top 10 list here, if maybe you're just
Yeah.
jumping in because it's game of the year. I want to I want to just hear people I like doing that, jumping in. People I don't normally listen to, just listen hear other people's ideas. Sometimes you find some new people out the content creators or podcasters, whoever that you like because of this. And I just screwed up everything on my screen. There we go. It's all screwed up here. Sorry, people. There we go. But yeah, I thought it'd be kind of fun. Whether it's your first time or maybe you've listened to us the whole way through or you've jumped in somewhere along the way. What do these guys like? I don't even know their taste. Well, it just so happens I have our top 10 list. We've been doing this all the way back to 2013. I have, no, I'm not going to go through all 10 games from each year, but I have our game of the year from each year from the last 10 years. That'll be fun to go through those each real fast with everybody. So,
Mm.
starting off with Gables here. 2013, he had Pokemon X and Y. 2014, Mario Kart 8. 2015, Super Mario Maker. Starting to see a taste here. Breaking it up a little bit here. 2016 with Uncharted 4. 2017, back on track. Mario Odyssey. 2018, Celeste. 2019, Fire Emblem Three Houses. 2020, Persona 5 Royale. 2021, Guardians of the Galaxy. 2022, Elden Ring. So those have been Gable's Game of the Year from the last 10 years. And then here's mine. 2013 Last of Us, 2014 South Park Stick of Truth, 2015 Metal Gear Solid 5, 2016 Last Guardian, 2017 Horizon Zero Dawn, 2018 God of War. You're starting to see a trend here as well. 2019 Gears
Mhm.
5, 2020 Last of Us Part 2, 2021 Life is Strange Two Colors, and then 2022 God of War Ragnarok. And we've had other co-hosts join us along the way. So I have our overall winner. So what Gables and I do every year is I almost forgot Gables, my little black book here. Now with girls' phone numbers in it,
Oh yeah.
all of our game of the year award. I write down all of our numbers, everything every year. So I keep track of it here, and I always have notes that I write every single year. I gotta get that ready here. But what we do every year, what we're doing every year, is that so if something gets 10th on our list, they get 1 point. If it gets 10, or if it gets first on our list, it gets 10 points, so on and so forth, all the way down. So in 2013, our overall winner between everybody on the show, that was we had Bioshock Infinite because that was Gable's fifth game. That was my third, and that was
Hmm.
Jake who was with us from the beginning. Was his second game. In 2014, overall winner was Mario Kart 8. That was because it was on. Jake was there, but didn't make his list. But it was Gable's number one game, and it was my fifth game. 2015, Justin was on. Justin and Jake were with us those years. We had Mario. We had Super Mario Maker. That was Gable's number one game. That was Justin's number three and Jake's number two. 2016, Uncharted 4. That was Gables had it one, Justin had it fourth, I had it third. 2017 Mario Odyssey, Gables had it one, Justin had it two, and I had it three. So that's pretty crazy. It was all three of our top, all three of us had made top three. 2018 it was Celeste. That Gables had it one. Once again here, I had it two. Justin had it three. That's pretty funny. 2019 it was just that's when it just started with just Gables and I. Untitled Goose Game was our winner that year. Gables had it
Yep.
three. I had it two. 2020 Ghost of Tsushima. Gables had it two. I had it seventh. 2021 Guardians of the Galaxy. Gables had it one. I had it two. And then last year, Gables. Do you remember the game from last year?
Do I remember the
It
game
was a
from
Nintendo
last year?
game from last year. I didn't remember this.
Mine.
I was like, really? I totally forgot this. It was just a year ago.
Oh my gosh. No, I
Nintendo
actually
Switch
spaced that.
exclusive, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. Uh,
Oh
yeah,
wow. That's
Gables had
right.
it fourth. I had it third. So, yeah,
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
it's pretty funny. I always like doing that. Kind of gives you a better idea of like overall like how it scored in everybody's list. So yeah, it's pretty funny there. So anyways, yeah. So we're gonna jump into our top 10 games. We're gonna start with number 10 here. Like I said, we'll do 10 through 6 this week. Next week we're gonna record right after this 5 through 1, but that'll be posted next week. Gables and I get an additional week off. The week of Christmas, and then usually the week after we do Game Awards is the only two times of the year we actually get uh, uh, actual week off from recording. So that'll be nice. But yeah, Gables, I'm gonna have you start, buddy. Give me your number 10.
All right. So my number 10. And this number 10 is going to be a bit of surprise to people, only because for a fact that back in the day I did not play a lot of this
Oh,
game,
God
but
damn it! I'm already pissed off.
but I did play plenty of it during this year, and that was Advance Wars 1 plus 2
Oh God.
remake.
Okay. I'm all right. I'm not mad. All right. I apologize. Go ahead.
I kind of feel like what you were gonna say next in terms of what game I think you were
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
But Advance Wars 1 plus 2 remake, I mean, I had a lot of fun playing this game, especially when playing the original and the second, like bits of the second back on the Game Boy Advance. I really liked the visual style and how everything else was like very much like condensed in terms of like the strategy stuff. I got into what I could, and basically for this game being on my number 10 slot and stuff, yeah, it just felt fun to play. It felt like it was very thorough in terms of like the amount of content that was presented and stuff. I never got around to actually finish it in instead of its entirety, but at the same point, I played enough to where it was good enough to where I very much enjoy what I liked. It was definitely better than some other games that I did end up trying and playing this year. And even though it's not as strong as what probably other people would have started their lists with, I liked it only because it's a good fallen like a good fundamental like solid game for my number 10. So, yeah, Advance Wars 1 plus 2 remakes my number
All
10.
right. Well, very cool, Gables. My number 10. is a really great indie game that I've been really looking forward to. Just coming from it has a good pedigree behind it. Studio, a brand new studio, but came from a studio that I loved before. Cocoon is my number 10 game of the year. Um,
Okay.
this is from people like level designers and some of the lead people that worked on like Limbo and Inside, and was totally blown away. This was revealed last year at the Summer Game Fest for Xbox, coming to Game Pass day one back in I want to say September. But this was like one of the coolest like puzzle games. Like this one, there's been a lot of great puzzle games out there. I know. I've seen them. I played a bunch of them. I love them. I'm a sucker for like the style of games that like Playdead makes. But
Mm.
this was the game that maybe broke my brain like no other in video gaming, and like never made me feel like so smart when I actually like when these moments click for me. And I was just sitting here. I remember when I beat the game. I was like, I remember talking about like it's like when I remember like Miyamoto like explaining how they made the first level of Super Mario Brothers on NES about how
Mm-hmm.
they basically had explained the game to you in like that one screen essentially in that first level. And it's like, oh, here's how we have the turtle come out. You could jump on it, and then you jump on the explain everything to you in like one screen. It's like games have gotten way more complicated, obviously in the last
Mm-hmm.
40 years of how we make them, what we can do in video games. And a game like this puzzle game that has so many different mechanics to it, so many, and it adds to it with zero dialogue. There's no button prompts, nothing, and the way it just like little sound cues, or just like the way like the thing, like the way the screen just kind of tilts, or even just like I don't even know, like just the way they do every little sudden thing they do of like they teach you all the crazy fucking shit that you can do in this game and how it gets crazier and crazier as the game goes. And like so the game was like you play as this like little I don't know like bug looking dude, and like I have no idea what the fuck the story's going on. I have no idea what's happening. Like I said, there's no dialogue, there's no nothing. But like you have these orbs, you carry around the orbs, but the orbs actually have or like there's a world inside these orbs, and then you can jump into these, and like you have to move like progress through these areas by using these orbs to like basically put on a lever to push to like an elevator, and then sometimes you gotta go to an
Right.
orb to do something to then that'll affect the other world you're going, and then like the game progresses where like so each orb has different like does different things, but then when you like there's like a part in the game where like you realize you can take an orb inside the orb, but then
Mm-hmm.
eventually you get to the point where there's four orbs, and then you realize you can take that orb that you're carrying inside that orb, and I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like it blew my mind time and time again. Where I'm like, how did they? First off, how did they think of this? Second off, how did they make it so I can figure that out? And like it's so simplistic of the way it's done, but it's so like brain breaking of like how you get there. And then one thing just so clutch that chef's kiss. Every game, a puzzle game especially, or if you're in a puzzle situation, should have this. This should be a requirement where if you get to an area, like you're in a small little section and you got to solve a puzzle, they will like close off the thing behind you, so you can't leave that area. So like I don't know how many times like I'm not the smartest puzzle guy in the world, I'll admit, but and it probably takes me way longer to do things than most gamers out there. But like there's nothing more frustrating of like am I just maybe in the wrong area, and you start backtracking, and you're just wandering
Mm-hmm.
around this whole map spending hours because and I'm like oh and then you find out like like you wasted all this time going in different like you were in the right spot, you missed this thing, but to have um to like close that off is like okay, I'm in the right section, I just need to figure it out, and it just like let you focus on the puzzle itself instead of just like well like you're kind of like half-assed like trying to figure it out, but also like well maybe I'm just in the wrong room, or maybe I missed something, and it's like no, it's here, you have the tools in front of you, just figure it out. It was this game is brilliant. I love this goddamn game. If it's on Game Pass, if even though it's on everything, it's $20. Buy it. It's like you could probably beat it. It took me like 4.5 hours, but like you could probably beat it a lot faster if you're smart. Probably smarter than me. But yeah, brilliant goddamn game. Number 10,
Mm-hmm.
Cocoon. Gables, what's your number 9, my dude?
Okay, so my number 9 is AEW
All
Fight Forever.
right. Okay. All right.
Well, here's part of the reason why is because when they went forth and tried to create this game, they tried to trying to make it as sort of like an homage to like WWF No Mercy as close as possible. And while they didn't hit every single thing like outside the game, like outside the gates of what their goals initially, what they wanted to do, the end result though was definitely a fun experience. I went through the career mode multiple times with a couple different wrestlers, including the creative mode, and also with my creative wrestler, and also with like say a couple other wrestlers as well, and I really did like the experience. I really did like the way the game felt in terms of the gameplay. I had a fun time playing as like all the different wrestlers and stuff. Didn't care whether it was like with Kenny Omega or Eddie Kingston or John Moxley or Riho or whomever. I still felt like I was able to not only was able to become that wrestler in and of itself, but to execute their moves flawlessly or to discover like how for certain aspects of certain matches, like, oh, okay, if I use this ladder match or something, I know it's kind of stiff, the ladder, but in order to like I can damage a person or something by doing this, or hey, if I'm in a hardcore match, if I start still keep digging, trying to pull out weapons, eventually I'm gonna get an electrified barbed wire bat or something out of there to use against like another opponent, it was that type of fun creativity I did like about AEW Fight Forever. I did like some bit of the blurbs or stuff where when you're talking with different wrestlers inside the career mode and stuff, some other paths will unlock or this or that. But even though let's say like the online portion of it wasn't so strong, or even with like say their whole battle royale sub of mode and stuff. That one really didn't hit too well for me. The main result of why it's like number 9 on my top 10 list is because I had a fun time playing like God, what was it like about a 40 plus hour experience just going through the career mode, going through
Jesus.
different aspects of the matches. I unlocked every single like unlockable in terms of the storefront that they did have without having to spend actual money for shit because they allow you to go forth and do that. But yeah, man, I got the chance to just experiment with different like wrestling styles, and it was just kind of fun, like to have certain matches to where I play as like maybe Malachi Black and stuff, and like end up doing his finisher the end and stuff, just this little spin kick or something that he does,
Oh,
and
the back
like
fist.
able to get the back
Yeah.
fist and like whichever. But yeah, man. It would have been higher on this list if, say, they would have put out some more decent updates to where it would have fixed a lot of the
Yeah.
issues that I had in
Yeah.
terms of the single players, like just the wrestling stuff in general, like say the way you kick out of pins
Yes.
or the way it just feels like you could instantly lose a match if, say, you maybe mess up a couple different times at timing your counters, or even like I haven't had a chance to experience like the new like beat the elite mode of what they had added in, but I've played it enough to where, hey, this is a fun experience. I may go back to it from time to time in order to play a few matches and stuff. But as the core of the experience is, it's still good enough to be a part of my game of the year list for 2023. And so that was my number
All
nine.
right. Well, very cool, Gables. Well, my number 9 is a remake
Okay.
to one of the best games from the 2000s.
Okay.
EA Motive's Dead Space. I fucking
Yes.
I scared people a little bit there. Uh, I was blown away by this game, Gables. I love Dead Space. I've if you've listened to this podcast long enough, like I have been pounding the table for survival horror games, and like there was a stretch there for a long time where they were few and far between. Where I talked about like Dead Space took up that mantle for Resident Evil, and like Silent Hill and all those kind of died off. And then like Evil Within was like the one thing like kind of raising the banner, and like I was like screaming from rooftops for people to play Evil Within 1 and 2. Um,
hmm
and just see like survival horror come back in a big way the last year or so has been awesome.
Absolutely.
It was just funny like I'm like in the way 2022 ended was like me like not I wasn't trying to like scream that Callisto Protocol was like a great game, but I'm like this game is better than people are saying about it. Like this is a good game, and I still think it's a good game. But then I played Dead Space. I'm like, oh no, no. Dead Space is no. This is survival horror. This is phenomenal. Like it totally like reminded me like especially like as a huge space nerd, uh, you know, and on top of that, like I said, a survival horror fan. Dead Space is just like man, this is like top tier shit. This is exactly what I wanted. I loved the way they just built upon it. Like this, like a way they grew upon everything is just better. Like the combat is better. Uh, the way you get around the Ishimura is so much better. Like the first game, like it was, obviously it came out in 2008, so they didn't have as much to work with. But it was like you had a tram system you took, and that took you to like each level.
Mm-hmm.
In this game, everything is connected. You could This tram still there is like a fast travel thing, but like it's more like a Metroidvania where things are sectioned off, and as time goes, you get like higher tier to like get through doors like that were previously closed off to you, and then go back and there's doors out. You could go through this whole area, and without using that tram, it became one big ship actually instead of just like a bunch of different like sections. And just getting around there, the combat is phenomenal. The sound design, oh my god, the sound
Oh
design
yes.
is brilliant in this game. It's so gross and gory and gooey. I loved it. This game, I just it was everything I wanted and more from a Dead Space. Like I'm not like this huge like I'm a Dead Space 3 defender in like the sense I've always said like Dead Space 3 is an okay game, but it's a bad Dead Space game. There's definitely a lot of problems with the story. Don't get me wrong, but I've always been a huge fan of Dead Space, but I'm not like this like, oh, you don't fuck with this thing, even though I think it still probably holds up well to this day. But man, like the way, and there's the way they change like the story around. Like it's not like the story never blew anybody away, but like actually having Isaac talk is in the first game he didn't originally talk. It wasn't until two he talked, but actually having him talk back to people like it makes more sense to him. Like everybody giving him like commands and shit. And he's just this silent protagonist, and he's like, all right, I'll go do it. But actually him like now it's like he is like giving suggestions instead of like it's like the whole game, like basically like the game was like something breaks, Isaac go fix it, and this guy it's actually like it's just people telling him that was like the original game. Like this game is kind of still more of that, but also it's like now it's Isaac suggesting these things or like him like working. It's like this kind of makes more sense narratively, but also the changes with like the story with him and his girlfriend. I think it's Elizabeth. I want to say her name is. I could be wrong,
Right.
but just like the adding more backstory to them and like you like one of the big things is like you start finding things along the way of like the issues they were having before they even went on the Ishimura because he's going there to like fix the ship, but also more importantly find his girlfriend. But also like finding dealing with more of that, like expanding upon their problems and everything, and also like the whole point of the game is like the lore of that space is the religion that everybody to this marker and like finding out like this is a brand new thing. This wasn't the original game, like the original trilogy at all. Of like finding out like Isaac's parents were like really deep into this religion too, and like so it's like affects him in different ways, and like also just like explaining this religion to you at the beginning of the game instead of like finding out it's like this weird cult like at the very fucking end. If I remember correctly, that's how it went in the last game. But like,
Hmm.
man, I think they did a really great job. Of, like also all of like the pain points of the first game were or in like the older games, like people like at the time weren't great. Like there's that whole part and the original one where like you had to shoot down the asteroids from like the gunship, and like no, this time you actually can go out there and shoot them down yourself. And then like the zero G part's actually a lot more fun. Where like instead of like you just launching yourself from point to point, this one you actually are like in zero G, like you're floating around and you can like traverse around and there's like actual stuff to it. Like and it changes as the parts of the game changes. Like parts become zero G that weren't zero G before, and vice versa, and it actually made them fun and enjoyable. And there's like a whole boss fight like that too in the zero G, but boss fights also fucking ruled. This yeah man, it's a stunner to me that this game is like when I started putting this list together, man, I was like, there's no way Dead Space is number 9. Like this game is just too good, and I was just like, it's just too good. But anyway, like but then I started putting the rest of this letter. It's like, god damn, I can't make the argument, man. Like it's so great of a year 2023 as we talk about like, man, 2023 is one of the best games of best years ever, and it's like putting this list together. And then what didn't make my list? It's like, oh yeah, no, it's hard to argue, but yeah, it's number 9, Dead Space. Gables, what about you?
Okay, so for number 8, this is more an expansion, more so than it is of actual like full-on game itself. This is a
Oh, okay.
continuation from a game I played through last year, and it's going to be kind of a bit surprising for people. But yeah, the teal mask and the indigo disc for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Thought you were gonna
I
say
have it.
Destiny 2.
Oh no, 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 no. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but not in
Okay, I was
this,
like, that's made your
not in
list.
this. Oh, I got you going there. But for the teal mask and the indigo disc. Now, I talked on the show before in terms of my experience with the teal mask, where I did not really feel too I didn't really feel too great about it overall and stuff, to where I thought it was like maybe like a 6 or 7, and that's because of it, and that's because of the certain characters I didn't like. But the best parts about that DLC was pretty much like some of the end battles of it near the end of that expansion, to where you face off against the legendary, like the loyal three legendary Pokemon on top of Ogerpon and his different types of battles, the different types of battle modes depending upon what mask he was wearing. So I literally had to beat him like about three separate. No, was it 3 or 4? It was like about 3 or 4 separate times and stuff, just with all these different masks. But what really put it over the line and what put it on the game of the year was going through the Indigo Disc. The Indigo Disc has four different distinct areas of this dome. So it's, you kind of like think of it sort of like a biodome of sort.
What the
Tyler,
weasel?
well, we're kind of laughing about this because we were kind of like talking a little bit about Pauly Shore
We
things
were.
before coming on and recording, but it's exactly kind of what it is. It's a giant dome that's like right on the middle of like an ocean, like right in the middle of the ocean and stuff like that in like the Paldea region. And the thing about this is where Blueberry Academy is at, right? And so this dome has like four separate areas, and each area is has a different part of the Blueberries Elite Four, right? And so you have this giant areas, these sections and stuff, to where one's based like an ice related thing, one's more of like an outback sort of thing, one's more like a canyon esque sort of thing, and then the last one's more of like oceanic and stuff. So you have these different like the Blueberries Elite Four doing this and doing that. But I'll tell you what, though. Yeah, there are some little graphical glitches. I mean, come on. So Scarlet and Violet, Nintendo didn't really do too much in terms of improving the patch of like the performance of this game, especially with the DLC stuff. But the content of the blue of the Indigo Disc, mind you, and stuff was pretty fun to go through, and it was mostly because I kept finding different Pokemon that I've really that weren't there before, like in previous DLCs or in the main game and stuff. I was able to catch that. But on top of that, going through the battles with the Elite Four, the Blueberry League and stuff was pretty fun, pretty interesting. There's like one character that is like the grandson of a gym leader inside of all the way back in Pokemon Black and White. Because here's the thing, Blueberry Academy is technically inside the Unova region from Generation 5, meaning there's a bunch of like nods to Pokemon Black and White, from like the battle theme when you get into like a wild battle or something, or if you're battling a trainer, it's that theme from Pokemon Black and White and stuff. So there's a heavy emphasis upon like the Unova region from the DS games. But oh my god, dude. There was like a couple different Pokemon that he used. He was most notoriously to me like one of the hardest battles inside of this DLC, because here's the thing, going into this DLC it doesn't tell you this, but all of the battles are like double battles, so it's 2v2. And so I took my team that I had and I went to the did like the Indigo Disc. I got up to him, and basically there was a restraint to where I had to construct an entirely new team because I had to use the Pokemon that I caught at the dome. And so I liked that because it forced me to use a different type of trial, a different type of like team chemistry than what I had done playing through the entirety of Scarlet and Violet. So that way, I'm not just using the same like team in order to steamroll him going all the way through this expansion and stuff. So I did end up constructing a team. I did end up constructing an even better team than what I initially did my first playthrough with Scarlet. But oh my gosh, the couple of new Pokemon that introduced inside this Indigo Disc that he was using, you had the evolution of a Sword and Shield Pokemon called like Duraludon, right? His evolution is Archaludon, and it's basically a dragon bridge. He's basically a giant like bridge. But remember the Pokemon that I talked about when I was playing through like Sword and Shield called Applin and stuff that would evolve into one of different types of Pokemon, like say
Yeah, it's like it's like
Appleton.
the lizard with the apple on his head or something.
Yeah, it's a little dragon that's
Yeah,
inside the apple, right? Like he evolved in like the Applin and like Frapple and stuff like that. Well, there's a couple of different evolutions that he has in this game too. One is called Diplin, which he uses like a different
fuck's
type of
sakes.
apple and stuff. And one is like Hydrapple. It is a eight-headed serpent inside of this freaking apple, right? It's a Hydra, but a freaking apple. And it looks so freaking crazy because you have one giant serpent that peers its head out of there, and you have like seven smaller ones that are coming out of here, and it's fucking overpowered as shit. Oh my gosh! But dude, going through that initial, going through that initial thing, and not only finding out that that Pokemon pretty much exists, that type of evolution for Applin, but yet going through every bit of the Elite Four, the Blueberry League's Elite Four, and then on top of that, having to do the story thing for the legendary Pokemon. God bless, dude. That was pretty crazy in of itself. Oh yeah, and then finding out that the leader, like the champion, is the kid that you were beating the shit out of inside of the teal mask. His name's Kyron, and he's totally pulled like a 180 in terms of like the whole story aspect. Like he was like kind of timid to meek and stuff, and now he's like an over pompous like ass
Hmm.
and stuff. You know, he treats people bad and stuff, and he's constructed a super powerful team because his sole thing is to like just try to beat you. And then when you finally actually go through and beat him, I mean, he was easier than like say some of the members of the Elite Four. But part of the reasoning why this is number 8 on my Game of the Year list and stuff is the whole thing of this expansion as a whole, how they went through and explained the whole crystallization and stuff like that, the trastalizing thing inside the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It's pretty much based upon like this sort of like this one legendary Pokemon and stuff. Man, I forgot the name of the Pokemon now, but it's like it's basically it has all the different types and stuff. So it's sort of like a rainbow sort of like
Ditto.
type. Yeah, sort of like not like Ditto, but like something entirely different to where there's no like readily like strengths or weaknesses in terms of what type it uses unless it's just so complicated in something for me to explain about it. But I love the revelations in terms of what you would find out, how the story would progress, or how you pretty much go against this like legendary Pokemon and stuff to where it's like your rival going into this expansion was throwing like a freaking Master Ball, right? Catches the legendary Pokemon, but yet it freaking breaks the Master Ball because
Huh.
he tried to he tried to literally like, force him in order to try to like beat him or something like that. But oh my gosh, though, it was definitely better than what I thought it was going to be. And quite honestly, it's part of the reason why that this actually did make it on the top 10. But yeah, the Indigo Disc totally redeemed like the actual full-on expansion for Scarlet and Violet. It was enjoyable, so that was number 8.
All right. Well, very cool. My number 8 is one of the most fun games I played of 2023. Gables, a game that I never
Mm-hmm.
thought I would get into. That is Wolong Fallen Dynasty.
Ah,
Absolutely adore this goddamn game. You know, sometimes uh, gaming, just finding a game that you love is all about timing. And there's like, this also came out at a great time on Game Pass, best deal in gaming. Um, Got me out perfect time. Not a lot playing it. This came out like they had like that demo that came out at the end of February. This dropped like beginning of March, and put that demo out. Hey, everything you do goes over to the main game. I'm like, fuck it, I'll jump. You know, I have nothing going on. I'll check it out. Put like 6 hours in this demo. I beat it multiple times. Like I got to the point I got so over leveled because I kept playing this demo that I went to the game like crazy over the top, like leveled through the whole game. But like I just loved it because like I am not a Souls like person. I've never beat one before. I just like the FromSoft games, like typically like the Dark Souls and Bloodborne. I don't really care for that. Like that's the visual style. Elden Ring, it did not click for me. Like I don't enjoy usually like just the running your head into a wall type thing. That's just not for me. Like, not saying that's bad. It's just I don't like it. You know, I don't. I get frustrated easily, and it just sucks when you spent 3 hours or something and then you've made zero progress. Like that
Yeah.
sucks. Um, but this just I don't know what I think. Part of what I think it is too is like those other like FromSoft games are usually a lot slower, and this one I just love. It's so fucking fast. I just love how fast the combat is. I was 3 collectibles away from 100% in this game. That's how much I love this game.
Wow.
I beat every side mission. I found every like the bonfires, the type of essentially what they're called, in every single level. I would have 100%ed it, but they don't tell you which levels like you found the collectibles in or not. So I'm like,
Oh God.
basically, I don't want to replay through like 26 levels to find the 3 that I'm missing. But maybe they fix that. I have to go back and check it out. Actually, I definitely will. But man, I had so much fun just like playing this game, and this is like grinding out. I love the morale system and the stamina system. Like the morale system, like it works in unison with your levels and everything like that. Like the higher your morale, like the more like you fight guys. Like hey, there's a level we recommend you have, but also morale system that goes up to level 25. Like the more people you defeat, like the more your morale system goes up. But if you take a big shot, it'll go down. Like if you lose to an enemy, theirs goes up, so it makes them harder. So like I just love that the morale system, the stamina system, like almost like it's almost like a kind of like a push and pull where like it could turn on a dime, like depending on how much attacking you're doing, parrying, blocking, dodging, all that. Like I loved it. Like I found it was a great way that worked for me in this. Where like I'm not great at parrying or dodging, but I feel like by the end of the game, I feel like halfway through, I felt like I was competent enough to like
Right.
I got by. But like really, what it was for me was like I just got so over leveled that it really helped me out. Where there's a quote from Creed 2 that a Rocky says to Creed, whereas he's like, if you want to take a beating or if you want to give a beating, you gotta be willing to take a beating,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my mindset for this whole fucking game. Where I never been like I hate games where you spend a lot of time in the menus. Like that was my biggest complaint about Horizon Forbidden West from last year was like I just spent so much time in the fucking menus. And it's like I like a lot of lights for this game. It was like even though I like the game, I just really don't want to spend fucking 2 hours looking at like all right, well, this goes up by 0.6%, so maybe this is better. I hate that shit. But I got into
Oh
it,
yeah.
excuse me, big time. And this one where I was, sorry, I was min maxing the fuck out of shit. I've never done that before. Never, I don't like doing that shit. But like going in and like getting all of my adding to like you can actually change like bonuses and like power ups you can add to each individual suits and like you can like level them up so you can put more things on those each more power ups and bonuses. So like every single one was related to defense, raising my defense, my health, and then also raising my chi, which chi is like the souls in the game. So like by the like
Yes.
I have like plus like 100% on defense and health, and like an extra 60% on chi. So like every like I was taking a lot of hits, but also I was like but I also focus a lot on my power. So I
Mm.
was hitting beating the shit out of people, but I was able to take a lot of hits because my defense and my health was high, and also when I defeated enemies, my chi I got way more fucking souls from people from defeating them. So I was leveling like fucking crazy. So like I just found the system that worked for me that really helped me power through a lot of these like those boss fights, fucking hard as hell. I will say like that was
Mm-hmm.
my one complaint though was like there was like I went through like 7 or 8 boss fights in the beginning of the game. Like that first boss fight was like probably the second hardest fight of the entire game. The first one, and it's like, why would you do this? Like, why would you like? Are you trying to make people not play your game? But like the next like 7 or 8 after that, I beat them all without dying. And then like there'd be like one I got my shit kicked in for like 2 hours against this guy. I finally beat him, but like that was just the way it was. And like everybody I was hearing from was the second to last boss was like the was way harder than the first boss. I'm like, fuck, this is gonna suck. And first try, I beat him. And it was like, but it, like, so it was just so weird, like the way things worked out. But like, this is like easily my podcast game of the year as well. Like, I'm someone that loves like listen to some like, especially as like these type of games where like I have no idea. Like, I'm a huge story gamer. Couldn't fucking tell you anything about what was going on in this story. Couldn't tell you any of the characters' names. I didn't give a fuck. But I had a great time. Uh, just I burned through so many podcasts just playing through this game, grinding and all that. I remember at the end I was over 40 levels higher than the suggested amount for the last level. That's how much I ended up loving this game and just got into it. I put like 40 hours into this game. It was my third most played game of the year, not including Madden. So that should tell you how much I love that game. But yeah, My number 8 is Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Gables, what is your number 7?
Okay. So my number 7 is a game I played a good chunk of an amount this year. I have F-Zero 99 as my number 7 game of the year.
I thought this was your goatee. I'm not okay. Wow. All right. It's I all right.
All
What the
right.
fuck's going on after this, Gables?
Well, who knows? Besides
Yeah.
myself. But F-Zero 99, let me tell you something, man. It's like this was one of the reasons why I played a lot on Switch Online this year. And it's because I kept going back to this game, playing the one more match, one more match, one more match type of mentality. I used no other vehicle besides the Blue Falcon. I played through over 200 some odd races. I've gotten all the way past like S plus in terms of like ranking inside of this game. The feel you get when you're battling against 98 other racers in order to try to cross the finish line is an exhilarating experience. It is unlike any other type of racing game that I have personally played that has that sort of competitive aspect. I mean, you've played certain racing games online before where it's like, okay, you have like about 12 other drivers and stuff. You got to go through, like, say, like in a simulation game, let's say like a Gran Turismo or like well, hell, sometimes Forza has its own like sort of sim type of style in terms of like driving racing stuff. Or if you're more so of like say the action sort of car stuff like Burnout Paradise doing this and doing that and stuff. With F-Zero 99, it takes a classic game that I loved playing on the Super Nintendo and stuff, and it evolves it to where it feels like a modern side of game to where it feels familiar because you're used to playing the tracks, you're used to like using the certain drivers and stuff, but it's different because you have so much other resources for like say like battling against like other people online, whether or not it be like a team battle, whether or not you're competing against cups to try to do your best and stuff. And I took first place on like a couple of different tracks and throughout my entire experience. I have gotten first place a couple different times, but it's so rare to get that type of like first place victory in general. But I know I've done it once, the first time on like one track. I got incredibly lucky and I got onto like one like track or something in the Queen's circuit. And literally the first race I got, because no other person had gotten adjusted to the track, but I had been adjusted to it because I used to play it almost to ad nauseum on like the Super Nintendo version of F-Zero. And I literally get first place the first time I try it. But we have moments like that to where you would be down and out, you'd be like maybe like in the third like the 30th position or something. You want to get up to like the top 10, and then all of a sudden you find that boost just right and stuff to where you get to skip across other drivers or skip across an entire section of the track. And then all of a sudden you come face to face like with the top three, and then all of a sudden you battle your way into like say a second place finish or like a first place finish or you know you finally are able to take out a driver or two. Like they explode. You gain like the whole boost experience from them in order to win a race because of like so on and so forth. Or you unlock a different set of colors for your favorite vehicle because you're able to meet certain conditions and stuff. This game, even though I know that this game is going to be disappearing probably in the next 5 years or something off the Nintendo Switch Online
Six
because of
months.
how, or 6 months, you never know, because of how oh god, haphazard Nintendo is in terms of putting out some of their online structured games on the Nintendo Switch Online. If this hasn't proven yet that we need another F-Zero game, I don't know what will. Because this was definitely one of the best experiences I've played in terms of F-Zero, but also in terms of like a good experience playing on Nintendo Switch Online in general. There have been other games that have released for this system that have terrible online components because of how terrible the matchmaking system is, or how the quality in terms of lag or whatsoever. Smash Ultimate is one. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe can be better, but at the same time, it's inconsistent at best. Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3, they have their hiccups in terms of their online stuff, but yet there's all sorts of various types of like cheaters that are prevalent on that damn online thing as well. And hell, I've had friends or something like that that are playing Switch 3 or something like that have like over 2,000 hours on that shit. That's their game that they want to go through and do. But for me, this year, one of my favorite games to play on Nintendo Switch Online was F-Zero 99. And that is my number 7.
Nice. I'm stunned. That's number 7. I don't know what 61 is gonna be now. Holy shit. Okay. Well, my number 7, Gables, is a game that man, 6 hours in, Gables. I'm like, this might be game of the year.
Yeah.
Um, and took some tumbles on the way to get to number 7. Alan Wake 2.
Huh.
I love Remedy. I have been a Remedy fan. I'm not like an OG like Max Payne guy, but dating back to like Alan Wake, love the original one. I have always been a staunch defender of Quantum Break. Control was fucking awesome. Just didn't run well at launch. And Alan Wake 2 was like, this is like the amalgamation of everything we've always wanted from Remedy. And man, I feel like they do such a great job of like hitting on so many things. Like, and I'm so happy. Like, this is like finally like their game that like brings them to the forefront of the gaming industry. Where like I feel like there's so many people out there, and there's people that are, love them way more than I ever will, or and way longer than I ever will. But man, like I'm so happy that this is like they're finally having their moment this year. Especially with the Game Awards with the Wii Sing thing, which man, that was. I'm so like I'm happy so many people got to see that and that brought a lot of eyeballs to that thing. But I'm also like, there's so many people out there that are gonna play that game because of that and don't get the moment, don't get to feel what I felt when I got to that moment. I'm like, what is happening? It fucking ruled. Um, Chapter 4 of Alan Wake. That's all I'm gonna say. Just check it out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, good for you. Just buy this fucking game. It's fucking brilliant. Uh, but I'm
That was
Go ahead.
so that was like one of those moments and stuff to where like we were watching the Game Awards or something like that, and like people from our Discord chat was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah,
or "What the hell is
yeah.
this?"
Like man,
Only you and Cam got
yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm like, we're just trying to explain it. It's like, dude, like if like you have no idea how much Cam and I are like marking out right now to this, and everybody's like, what? It's just so funny. It's like, yeah, everybody's like freaking out. Like, yeah, there's like, it's like everybody, either you're marking out or you're confused as hell. There's no in between. But yeah, I was just blown away. I'm so happy Remedy exists. This is like Remedy going full Remedy in this thing. And I love the fact that they basically just took the Resident Evil 2 gameplay and also like the menu system. Like it is almost like blatant ripoff, and I'm cool with that. I love it. Hey, if it works, go with it. And it's like they do such a great job with that, and like like because like the big complaint about Alan Wake was like the gameplay was just not great, and their engine, I think
Right.
it's Northlight engine, gorgeous. My God, the way things look in this thing is fucking beautiful. But I really, really, really dug Saga Anderson's storyline. He plays the two characters, Alan Wake, Saga Anderson. Really loved hers. And I really liked Alan Wake's as well. Not as much, but I think I enjoyed the gameplay parts more of Alan's, but I enjoyed Saga's story way more. Um, but it just kind of like as the game progressed, um, this is kind of the negatives. Like I said, I love the combat, I love the boss fights, love some of the stuff that happened, but like I feel like some of the like, ways the story is kind of connected together. I don't know, just like when I'm listening to people like freak out about some shit. I'm like sometimes I just feel like it's like it goes crazy places, but sometimes I'm like I don't know if it's good. It just goes crazy. It's kind of the way I felt. Like I was like something I'm like I feel like this sometimes like it's a little too like a little too I don't know what the word I want to look for. Like just a little too out there, maybe. Like even though I loved it and
Right.
like I
Right.
still
Right.
enjoy it, I'm gonna go where Remedy wants to take me. I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't love it in the same way I think a lot of other people did. But like man, that first like 6 hours, I was like, fuck man, this is probably my game of the year. But yeah, like and like some other thing, I hope they like the map. Give me a goddamn mini map next time. I waste so much goddamn time constantly pull up the map. Like, where the fuck am I? Okay, turn around, pull. Like, okay, where the fuck? Like every like 30 seconds. Like, all right, where the fuck am I at? I wasted like a good hour and a half at that fucking map. But anyways, but the thing is, like, even after all these like things, I want to play more of it. My frustration, like my other frustration, like probably my biggest thing to me is that really prevented me from playing more of it. Like doing a lot of this. There's so many like side activities I want to do, like finding like the coolers with more. They had like notes in there, explain more backstory, and gave you items as well. Or there's like I don't actually want to say the other thing, but it's a little bit of a spoiler, I guess. But there's so many other cool things I wanted to like do side activity wise, but like this is from a horror game. It's built upon, like you're gonna have items and stuff like that are limited, and in some cases like you can go through bullets real like a couple fights, and you can go from like having flush with bullets to I'm struggling here. And what
Right.
sucked was like trying to do side activities, wandering around, trying to do more. Mainly in Saga's part because like she has a more of an open area. Is that like enemies respawn, and so it just like sucked. Like also like I'm just trying to backtrack. I'm just like trying to explore and find shit. And it's like like or like I see something on a map that's there. I'm gonna go do that thing. And then it's like oh well now I'm getting attacked by three guys. All of a sudden I go from like cool like I went from having a bunch of items or like cool I found this cooler with some items in it, but I wasted way more on this fight for these items than what I would have had. So like that kind of like dampened my experience on that. It's like I just want to play more of you, but like I don't want to like and like the combat's good, but it's like we gotta work some shit out here where it's like yeah, it's like make it like don't make it feel like a penalty for fucking playing more of your game. But yeah, anyways, I adore this game. Like those are small nitpicks, but like in a year as good as 23 is, um, little nitpicks like that, it's gonna drop you from can drop you 5 6 spots. So yeah, that was my number 7. Gables, what is your number 6?
Okay, number 6, Resident Evil 4 remake.
Okay.
The reason why Resident Evil 4 remake is on my top 10 list, the game's fucking fantastic. Absolutely is fucking fantastic. I spent a lot of good time like playing initially when it did came out. I did like play a little bit of it back like when it first came out and stuff, like about an hour, hour and a half. I spent I spent a good chunk of hours though playing it through, like playing through more of it on Extra Life. Had a chance to enjoy like bits of that opening sequence and also bits of like the middle portion of the game. I love the gameplay of it. Definitely love like the weapon play and stuff. The merchant, obviously, the whole shooting gallery and all the other shit and stuff. But yet it felt fairly like a survival horror game more than an action game. Kind of like how with the original Resident Evil 4 like it did back in the day, to where it felt more like a action game because of how the set pieces and the different things were kind of like ran to and from and stuff. But with Resident Evil 4 remake, it felt like Capcom did a fantastic job not just remaking this game, but also feels like it's better than the original game itself, which that is a hard fucking task to do, especially for how beloved the Resident Evil 4, like how Resident Evil 4 was when it first released and all the subsequential re-releases of the ports for years afterwards. But game looks I mean, it looks freaking beautiful, so atmospheric in terms of the designs, in terms of the villagers and stuff, how the parasites just like sickeningly just spew out of like freaking villagers' heads and stuff like that, and then you have this like monstrosities just like just whipping around and do this other shit. Oh my gosh! And the characters like say Luis and stuff you get a chance to meet, plus the interaction and stuff you have with Ashley and stuff, just little subtle things. But oh my gosh, I just remember like certain experiences and stuff, like say saving the wolf and stuff from like the trap and stuff, and then coming to help you out later. Like a foreshadowing, say, "Hey, help this animal, and it'll help you back." Like I wish more games would do that. To where it's like, "Oh, hey, don't be a dick, help the animal."
Gables, I have a lot of narrative driven indie games I'd like to show you after this podcast. You want
Oh my god. Okay.
that?
Oh, I just went down a rabbit hole.
Yes, yes, you do.
Anyway.
You're speaking my language.
Oh yes. When it comes to this year in gaming, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Tyler. I mean, there's been a lot of great fucking video games in terms of just the quality, in terms of the amount of time you spent and stuff. God, even like just dabbling little bits and stuff. Resident Evil 4 Remake, this was definitely one of the best games of the year. It would have placed higher on my list, but I needed to finish the entirety of the experience and of that sort. But anyway, from the game that I had initially played and stuff, it definitely feels better than the original game. And I felt that was fairly important in terms of my interest because even when I played through the original game, I only played it through to a certain extent. I lost interest and then I went on to something else. For this game, I want to go back and play it. Finding the time to play it is definitely more difficult, but at the same time, this is a damn fantastic experience that was worthy enough to bypass the experiences that I had experienced, say with Advance Wars, with freaking like the Pokemon DLC. I mean, okay, let's be honest. So the Pokemon DLC probably would not have overtaken that either. AEW Fight Forever. It definitely Resident Evil 4. This thing was better than that. I mean, F-Zero 99. Even though I put so much time and effort into that, it's like Resident Evil 4 remake definitely made a lot more sense just to go into the number 6 position for me. So yeah, that's number
All
6.
right. Well, my number six, Gables. Another sequel here to one of 2018's best games,
Okay.
Spider-Man 2. I'm sorry, I'm
Hey.
contractually obligated to say Marvel Spider-Man 2. Um,
Okay.
but anyways,
Wow. Hmm.
what's with the wow, Gables?
Well, I thought it was wild because it's not in your top
Oh,
five.
okay. Wow. Okay. This was a very judgmental wow. Was all. Anyways, I look. I love Spider-Man 2018. It's like it sucks. Like this like I should say it doesn't get the flowers it deserves because it's like one of the best-selling PlayStation games of all time. It's so weird to say,
Yeah.
but it's like so like when you look at 2018 and 2023, like both years were phenomenal for games, and like both years it came away with like no awards or anything in the game awards. But it's like
Right.
yeah, I don't know. But anyways, it's yeah, it's just like it just comes out in bad years, man. And we're like, there's so much good shit, and like I think in 2018 it was like fourth on my list, and then this is I think Miles Morales was also like I think in 2020 was like fifth on my list, something like that maybe. But yeah, Spider-Man 2, it's just sometimes like what dings it. Sometimes it's just like it's just a better version of the previous game, which I know was obviously like duh no fucking shit, but man like sometimes it also dings it for that because like but I don't know. Anyways, in a world where we have so many bloated open world games that just go on for fucking ever, even with the great ones where it's like, man, this feels like 20 hours too long. The fact that I was able to platinum this game in less than 30 hours fucking ruled. And then
Yeah.
like the fact that like the big complaint about Spider-Man 2018 was like, I really liked that game. I love that game. I found all the backpacks. I did a bunch of the side content. I like maxed out my level well before I finished the game. And I didn't even do all the side content, but like so much of that side content just was not fun. Uh, like with the pigeons
I can
or the
understand
fucking
that. Yeah.
with the gas clouds and all that. Like that sucked. And then like the one with the content creator lady that fucking annoyed the fuck out of me. And this game was like they like there's still a lot of content there, but it's like they did such a good job. Like it's not perfect. Like there's some that like, I didn't care for as others, but like they just did a great job of like making it matter more. They intertwined it a little lot more into the main story. That kind of added more backstory and kind of and some stuff like totally like there's like I can't believe like how great some of the best boss fights and some of the best story progression of some of the side characters in this game are in the side content, and it's awesome. It's amazing.
Hmm.
Like almost feels like it's a shame that they're in side content where people can miss them because it's honestly better. Some of that side content is better than most games themselves. Um,
Hmm.
and like some of the shit they set up for like spoiler, there's gonna be a Spider-Man 3. Some of the shit they set up that are in that side content is gonna be fucking awesome. That's there. But like I love the stuff with Venom, with Harry being back. The Mary Jane missions were actually pretty fun and like there's only a few of them, but they're like when I eventually will do a new game plus for this, it won't be like Spider-Man where I tried replaying it earlier this year, and I got to the first Mary Jane mission and I'm like, never mind. And I just stopped playing it because I'm like, as much as I love this game, I don't want to do these parts. And like I was like, I got flashbacks to the Miles Morales mission and those. And like those just weren't fun. And these were actually fun and like they added some gameplay elements to them. And it actually worked well and it worked well with Mary Jane's narrative and like making her like part of the team as well. And like this game is about it's Peter's story, but it's really about building Miles and like him finally. It's like him trying to become like he doesn't feel like Spider-Man. He doesn't feel like Peter Parker's sidekick. And it's like the story of like, and it's like Peter Parker dealing with like, he's been Spider-Man for like about a decade at this point, and him like dealing with like the fallout of like everything he's lost, everything that's happened in the time frame between Spider-Man 1 and this, trying to go move like progress in life, still trying to find a job basically because he can't keep a job because he's fucking Spider-Man. And then like and then also like I said, Miles like growing up, like trying to go to college, trying to become like he's now he's becoming an adult, I just love that like it's about Peter. It's about Peter and what's going on in his life, but it's also like, but really, it's Miles's like it's Peter's story, but it's really about Miles. And I fucking loved it. I love the way they integrated all that. Love where the story went. I would say like the one thing I didn't like is like the last like 3 hours of the main story, like where that went, like where the game went there, like in the gameplay parts. I didn't care for as much. I feel like the game kind of peaked at a certain moment, and it maybe kind of went a
Hmm.
couple hours too long, or maybe could have been
Hmm.
tightened up a little bit. Maybe been like a couple more missions instead of a whole other section. But I mean, it's the time. Like that's it. That's the one nitpick I have for this game is like, yeah, like there's just too much good content. It's just too much good shit. But yeah, I mean, Spider-Man 2, it's such a phenomenal game. It just sucks. It keeps coming out like they keep putting this game out in great years. Next year, like next time, find a bad year to do it in. But yeah, man, Spider-Man 2, fucking once again, Chef's Kiss, beautiful game, gorgeous game. If you have a PlayStation, why the fuck do you own this game? Um, but anyways, yeah, that's my number 6, Gables. That is
Yes.
going to be it for part 1, actually. So yeah, so if you
Already.
guys like this, we'll be back next week for you guys. Next week for you guys, it's a few minutes for us. But if you like all that, you want to keep, yeah, hey, like you enjoying this, you want to get your reminder when the next one comes out. Like, follow, subscribe, look for us on podcast services. Just look for us, Drunk Nerds, Drunk Nerds. YouTube, just hey, like, follow, subscribe, click that bell as well. Like I said, we've really been pushing that YouTube service. So really appreciate it if you helps out there. Throw us a bone. Share with your friends. More importantly, probably the most important thing you do is share. Tell other people about us. Share it to your friends. Tell your friends about it. Share it to your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, um, whatever social media platform out there. I don't know about Threads. I don't fucking know. Um, yeah, do all that for us. Really, really appreciate it. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter as well. But yeah, actually, before we get out here, I'll do a quick roll rerun here of our top 10 games. Gables number 10, Advance Wars Reboot Camp number 9, AW Fight Forever number 8, Teal Mask and Indigo Disc, right, from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I have them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 7, F-Zero 99, and number 6, Resident Evil 4 Remake. My number 10, Cocoon. Excuse me, sorry. Number 9, Dead Space. Number 8, Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Number 7, Alan Wake 2. And number 6, Spider Man 2. So, yeah, thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week with part 2. But I was host, I was Tyler.
I'm Colonel Gables. Until next time, look forward to listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk Nerds
Hey, Gables.
podcast. Yeah,
Too sweet.
too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.